All right. It's the latest issue of What Did Chip Get Today? We got some Ludwig drums. Now, I've been buying a lot of drums lately, mostly like the MIJ, the Made in Japan kind of kits from back in the 60s and early 70s, like these. And got a couple of those kits, really cool. But anybody that knows me knows that my favorite drums are the Ludwig drums. So a fella in Monroeville, PA had these for sale, and I kind of watched them on the marketplace for a while. And what I was confused about was the fact that these drums don't have resonant side heads. And they were made that way. Whenever you buy a drum set, I don't know why, but for some reason, when people own a drum set, they feel compelled to take the bottom heads off of them. Okay? Please stop. If you own a drum set, don't do that. I don't know why people do it, and it's going to make your drum set worth a whole lot less when I come to buy it and not all the parts are there. But this is different because there is no hardware. There's no holes. They're not drilled for front heads. So what I was confused about was trying to think of a series of Ludwig drums that were made with no bottom heads. Obviously they made concert toms and the Vista Light toms. Some of them had one head, but these don't. Like, I could see if the head was just removed. It's not. There's no holes there. So I was thinking, well, are these Ludwig drums? Or did somebody take some Ludwig hardware and slap them on some other shells? But I got to thinking about that. And I know that's not the case for two reasons. Reason number one is that would be a lot of work. I don't know why anyone would do that. Reason number two is if they would have put Ludwig hardware on different shells, there would be extra holes in the drums. Okay, there would be holes where the other drums hardware was mounted, and these do not have extra holes. This one spot right here, there was a cymbal holder here. The fella sold it, but other than that, there are no extra holes in these drums. And then these little leg mounts, if you can see that wing nut, if you know your vintage Ludwig drums, that's Ludwig. If you hear children yelling and things stomping, the kids are literally right above my head. There is a lug missing here. I need to get a T-rod and all that. The chrome is rough. It's pitted. This is a Ludwig rail consolette, and it is complete. That itself is worth some bucks. These were, the tom holders that were used on the vintage drums, and even the nuts are still on there. See how those nuts are real thick, more so than a regular nut that you would have in your garage. Those are Ludwigs. Okay, that tom arm, that's all original Ludwig. So if nothing else, in worst case scenario, I got some good Ludwig hardware. It's a wooden hoop. It's a Ludwig hoop. I've been playing drums and I've been playing Ludwig long enough to know that I can look at that hoop and go, yep, that's Ludwig. This bass drum is 14 by 20, and over the years, I would have never played a 20-inch bass drum. I was a big rocker dude, and, I had at least a 22-inch bass drum and usually 24. My main kit is a 16 by 24, which I love. But I'm 58 tomorrow, and I've reached a point in my life where I don't want to haul so much crap around. And, so I'm going to have a smaller kit. So, like the Japanese drums that I've been buying recently, those are all 20-inch kick drums, and you can make a 20-inch kick drum sound amazing. A lot of guys, that's the standard. That's what they played. That's what they've always played, is 14 by 20. So what, I'm getting sidetracked here. These drums are very, very, very dirty. The fella I got them off of said they belonged to a friend of his. I guess maybe he'd fallen on hard times or whatever and had to get rid of some stuff, and that's how he ended up with them. I don't know. When I first saw these on Marketplace, I actually messaged the guy and said, were they in a fire or something? He said, no, they were just in a garage. So all this, I don't know what it is. but it's dirty. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter because these are getting stripped down. They were repainted inside and out, and I got some stripper here, and we're going to strip them down. So what I'm going to do tonight is take all the hardware off and kind of wipe them off, just so I don't have to handle these dirty drums, and then kind of maybe start hitting them with the paint stripper. I got some of that citrus stuff that isn't supposed to smell so bad. So, but I wanted to get good documentation of what these looked like before I started messing with them. Now, another thing that I found strange is there's no badges on these drums. There's no vent holes on these drums. But then I got to thinking that a single-headed drum would not have a vent hole. So, you know, Ludwig drums always had a badge on them. Most drums, you know, Rogers, Slingerland, all that stuff would have a badge on them. So I don't know, you know, again, it strikes me as strange. Ludwig made sets called a combo years ago that were single-headed, but they had different hardware on them. They didn't have the classic Ludwig stuff. It was like the rocker. If you're familiar with the Ludwig rocker drums, they had that kind of hardware on it. So I thought, you know, are these combos? What are these? I don't know. But here's where we're at. Okay, I don't care what they are. As far as I'm concerned, these are Ludwig drums. The hoops are Ludwig. The lugs are Ludwig. The legs are Ludwig. The rail consolette, the leg holders, stuff needs cleaned up and everything like that. But this is an extremely restorable drum kit. Okay, we got a 20-inch bass, 16 by 16 floor arm, 9 by 13 tom, the standard set. There is no snare. It was just these three drums. But here's what I want to do. Years ago, I'm going to make a separate video about this because it is very long, very involved story. But I had a set of Ludwig drums that were citrus mod. It was a psychedelic finish that they offered for a short time in the 70s, and they were extremely collectible. I actually ended up selling that drum set to Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick. So anybody that knows me has heard my Ludwig drums Bunny Carlos story. But here's what I'm going to do. Over the years, I kind of felt bad that I sold that kit, not realizing what they were and what they were worth. But there is a guy in Maryland who makes drum wrap. He's the Bum Wrap Drum Wrap Company. And I've purchased some wraps off him before, and they're really, really high quality stuff. He makes a citrus mod wrap, like the old Ludwigs that I had. I am going to get some of that. I'm going to strip these drums down. I'm going to clean all the hardware. I'm going to clean the shells up. And I'm going to recover this kit in the citrus mod wrap as kind of an homage to my original citrus mod kit, because there's no way I would ever have another one because they're crazy expensive now. But that's what I want to do. A lot of times I'll buy these drum kits and they get shoved in the cubby hole up there and they get forgotten about. But this set, we're not doing that. This is the Ludwig kit that I'm going to restore my way. But so what we're going to do, like I said, I'm going to tear these down, kind of clean them, get the hardware soaking and all that, and we'll see what we have to work with.